All right, thank you, Sylvie, and thank you all for joining us to learn about how you can make better decisions about the training and HR providers or other suppliers that you use. During this webinar, we will provide you with resources to help you make a vendor selection and find the best provider for you to do so faster and easier. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. For the last 8 years, I have been CEO of Cox eLearning Consultants, one of the leading marketing consulting firms for the corporate training, learning, and HR industries. My career spans more than 30 years, and my work has concentrated in a combination of high technology and education with global companies like Hewlett-Packard and Sprint, as well as small startup opportunities. I've taught college, written curriculum, owned a training firm, and worked for a major learning management system manufacturer. I have an economics degree from the University of California, and I reside in Livermore, California. In the past year, I helped found a new web community, Collect My Thoughts, that is designed to help us all to make a better informed vendor decision. You'll learn more about Collect My Thoughts later on in this webinar. You know, in our busy days, we're frequently confronted with the tyranny of the urgent. There's too much to do today to do much long-term analysis and planning. And it's frustrating too, because we know that there may be better products or other solutions out there, but we just don't have the time to adequately research them. And, you know, we could argue that half-baked research will result in just another poor choice for a supplier. On one hand, we could argue that if you would make the time, you'll save time in the long run. True statement. But we all realize this, and still it doesn't change. What we're going to learn today is that there is an alternative for the first time, and you're going to be ever so glad. So we're going to start off with a poll question, and Sylvie will manage the actual poll here. So she will be showing this on your screen, and we're asking the question to indicate which best describes your opinion about the suppliers you use. We want to know, are all of them great? Is there no need to make a change? What's the mix and good bad suppliers? Do we want to just throw them all out? They all stink, or whatever the case may be. So take a second and answer that there. And then Sylvia, I'll let you manage this and at some point close it and tell us the results on that.
Okay, the poll is launched and some results are coming in, so just check off the correct answer. And so far we've got everybody voting one way. And we'll give it another second here. Let's get some more results in. Okay, I'm going to close the poll now, and I'm going to share the results so everybody sees that most of you have a mix of good and bad suppliers.
Well, I guess it's not too surprising. I would be really probably concerning for your sake if you chose the last answer about throwing them all out. All right, good. Thank you, Sylvie. And I'm going to go to the next slide here. So the topics for this webinar, first is I'm going to give you a survey of some of the breadth of resources that you might want to consider in making an informed supplier selection. So we're going to look at some of the highlight or some of the traditional things that people have done. We'll look at some financial considerations that you've maybe never considered, some complaint service organizations that are out there, analysts and consultants. And then we're also going to introduce to you something that you may not be familiar with, a new web community that you can participate that will help finding the right types of solutions and suppliers and products. And you'll find that it'll be thorough, and you'll find it to be fast and easy. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the need here. So 78% of business internet users conduct product research online. Isn't that interesting? You know, was 10 years ago that number would be, you know, 0, 5%. So we've seen obviously a major shift. You know, in the holiday time period, people are now shopping through e-commerce at an unbelievable rate. You know, so we're seeing people are starting to shop this way, but it's also confronted us with various types of problems. We do think that this percent will increase from the 78%, but some of the problems that you know, we see with this is that, you know, there are really at this point almost too many suppliers to really know who is good, and we have still too little time to conduct thorough research. And you and I don't have an objective method to compare new suppliers with our existing suppliers. And you know, there's also that factor of just the fear of making the wrong decision. I don't want to get fired for making the wrong decision. So let's just take one group of industries as an example, just computer software. I don't know if you realize this, but there are 27,000 vendors of computer software. There are millions of results in Google searches for various types of computer software. And as you can see there from the statistics, that there's actually each year 4 million companies making a computer software purchase that the value is in excess of $200 billion a year. So that's just computer software. So, you know, think of all the companies making all these vendor selections for all these types of dollars and all these industries that that exist. So it's staggering. And so let's take, you know, maybe a traditional type of business activity, a selected type of manufacturing. So if you think about it, just in this one picture alone, there are quite a few products utilized in most business cycles involving a supplier and ultimately to customers. Starting at the left, the woman is using a sewing machine. Is that the best sewing machine for the work needed? Is the chair she uses comfortable and ergonomic? For the supply warehouse, what's the most efficient shelving, inventory control, and process systems that could be used? The boxes that ship the product, are they inexpensive while also sturdy enough to get the job done? For the retail operation, what display systems are the easiest to construct and appear to have the best impact upon the shopper? All of these things affect the business's budget, sales, and efficiencies, among other things. And yet today there is no place to go to in order to rate each of the products or their suppliers anywhere in the supply chain. So, you know, we have some of the traditional methods. We're not going to spend any time with them other than to highlight them. You know, one is that you ask a friend for recommendations. You know, you have the 3, 4, or maybe 10 vendors you do business with. You want some more, so you ask a friend. That friend may be, you know, somebody in another department, or it could be somebody in another company. You can ask the salespeople to come in. You know, invite some in and give their pitches on things. And at some point, you're starting to create some type of a rudimentary list, and so you may construct some type of a request for information, RFI, or request for proposal, RFP, and distribute it to that list. You know, so those are some traditional types of ways for trying to find a vendor, select a vendor, and we'll probably in another webinar that we give at some point, we'll even give you some insights as to how to do the traditional methods more effectively. But in this webinar, we want to focus on the new things. So here's an old cartoon that many have seen. And one source, you know, in new suppliers are the salespeople knocking on our doors. And there may be one salesperson that has some revolutionary new solution that will transform our business. However, that is not the case in most circumstances. And certainly we cannot trust the salesperson as being an objective or authoritative source. There's an inherent bias in whatever he or she, you know, might recommend. So, you know, as we look at the process of how buyers engage with vendors, typically there are 3 stages for the business person to select a supplier or business. For stage 1, which has historically taken 57% of the decision-making process, Time is invested in trying to find many of the new suppliers for a given product or solution. In stage 2, we are evaluating suppliers. We check references, we conduct benchmarks, and we administer RFPs. In stage 3, we enter negotiations, trying to achieve the best pricing and the best contract terms. So let's look at some of these resources on trying to find suppliers. And one criteria in choosing a supplier is their financial stability. We've seen so many changes in the training and HR industries. Skillsoft gobbles up Element K and MindLeaders, and now SumTotal. One reason for this consolidation that you may or may not be aware of is that many training and HR companies are financially struggling. We probably have one of the worst track records as an industry in financial performance. And there is a high percent of suppliers who struggle month to month to survive. So it becomes imperative that you know the financial standing of the suppliers you consider. And as most suppliers are private companies, learning this information can be challenging at times. Now, one source for you to consider is Moody's. I don't know if you've heard of Moody's. Moody's was founded in 1909 and ranks the credit worthiness of borrowers using a standard rating scale which measures expected vendor loss in the event of default. That's a resource for you. Another one for you is Dun & Bradstreet. D&B provides some of the most insightful reporting on everything you need from financial stability and payment predictors. D&B comprehensive report provides analysis on a company's long-term operations, credit history, profitability, and stability. D&B evaluates private companies as well as public companies. Moody's that we just saw previously, it will look at certain private companies but has more of a weighting for public. D&B, it really doesn't have a bias. But do note that with the private companies that D&B evaluates, the information D&B gathers may be limited to scope, and it could be skewed because a good deal of the information that's in D&B comes actually from the company itself. But those are two financial resources. Let's look at another one. So here's a screenshot from the Investor Relations webpage for Hewlett-Packard. For public companies, there may be secrets these companies don't want you to know. When we talk with a salesperson, their company is always doing great, right? And their future is very bright. Yet public companies must regularly file a range of documents, some financial, some legal, or related to other matters of business operations status. These documents are filed with the Securities Exchange Commission and must be made available to the public via the Investor Relations link on the website. A web page like this can give you financial information. The two most well-known SEC documents that is and a 10Q. A 10K is similar to an annual report. An annual report, which we've all seen, is kind of glossy and rosy. It tells wonderful stories and always tells a terrific story about the past year and the prospects for the future. The 10K discusses the same previous year and prospects for the future, but if you compare the two, you may think that you're reading about two different companies. All the gloss and rosiness is not permitted in a 10K, like in an annual report. So you can get some good annual information. Here's just a 10Q, and 10Q is just like the 10K, but is focused on the most recent quarter just finished. But if we were to look at, for example, the most recent 10Q for Hewlett-Packard, a multi-billion-dollar type of organization, and this is the most recent one as of July 31st, 2014. Let's look a little deeper. If we were to look through this report, there is various pages that will talk about risk to the company. And so this is taken right out of Hewlett-Packard's most recently 10Q. I've yellow highlighted some statements that I thought you might be interested to read. As you read those things, Sounds totally different than what the HP salesperson's probably telling you, right? Isn't this valuable information to know when making a vendor selection? And all public companies must reveal this type of information in their 10K and 10Q. So most people are not aware of the revealing of that type of information, and so hopefully that is of interest to you. The Better Business Bureau. It was founded in 1912. It's a nonprofit organization focusing on advancing the marketplace trust. It consists of 112 independently incorporated local Better Business Bureau organizations in the United States and Canada, and is coordinated through something called the Council of Better Bureaus in Virginia. The Better Business Bureau collects and provides free business reviews on more than 4 million businesses to over 100 million requests from consumers in 2012. The Better Business serves as an intermediary between consumers and businesses. So it's less of a business-to-business type of service. It's a little bit more of a business-to-consumer service. But they do handle about 1 million consumer disputes every year. It also alerts the public to various scams, reviews certain advertising, and other things. What's also important to know about the Better Business Bureau is it's more of a reactive organization than proactive. That item they are most known for is acting as an intermediary when you have a complaint. I am certainly glad that we have a reactive service for complaint handling. However, I prefer not to get to the situation where I need to file a complaint. I'd prefer to know in advance who are the good suppliers from the bad and make smart choices in the very beginning. You know, in this example here, we also see that Hewlett-Packard gets an A+ rating. Let's do another example. Salesforce.com, which many of us are probably using. Look at the rating for Salesforce.com, C+. And if you wanted to, you could look up on the website there for Better Business Bureau and see some of the complaints that's been filed against Salesforce.com. Another service is a website called complaintsboard.com, and there's a variety like this. This is just one that easily comes up on a web search. You just do, you know, complaint and a product, and very likely this website is one of the top ones that comes up. And this provides, you know, more of a forum for complaints, more dialogue by people. They're not as much of an intermediary like the Better Business Bureau. But they are a place that if you just want to hear about issues that people are having with a supplier, you can find out stuff about that. You know, these most organizations do value your feedback. So, you know, there's opportunities to give feedback to many of these organizations, but you also wonder if you just become a meaningless number. And so we're going to, you know, address a little bit later on in this webinar some of those types of issues. You can also learn about a company, again, by just doing Google. Google company's name and add in their problem or complaint. And here you see an article that comes up in Computer World, again, about Salesforce.com. There's also various types of blogs and forums and similar types of things. These are mini websites. They're free and easy to use. They update automatically and can be shared with others by simply providing the blog address. You know, you can read the information posted and learn things you didn't know. Here's an example of a forum where customers can state their opinion about the services that they're getting. And in this way, the consumer can get an insight on how and what is the service all about when they read about other consumers' posts. But not everything is about complaint. Also, blogs and forums can share solutions with other users. In some cases, the supplier maintains a forum, and surprisingly, many times these suppliers will allow negative as well as positive comments on their forums. You know, aren't we glad that we have forums like previously displayed, whereby suppliers can receive feedback, and the rest of us can be informed about this dissatisfaction. But there can always be some type of management or manipulation by a supplier, even on those blogs, that may influence that. Some people will move on from financial stuff that we looked at or look at complaint services, and they will hire an analyst or a consultant. Here's a web page from Gartner. Gartner is an American information technology service and advisory firm. It's headquartered in Stamford, Connecticut, and many of you may know them. Gartner is a very well-known technology and research and advisory company providing technology-focused insight. Gartner is really famous for their Magic Quadrant, which they use for many of the industries they analyze. And this is helpful in putting together a perspective on how your supplier compares with others in the industry. At least from Gartner's perspective, since this is just one organization's perspective, and so we recommend that you use this as just part of your comparative analysis. And Gartner services, if you check them out, are not cheap. Many organizations do not feel that they can afford to pay Gartner's fees for these reports. But Gartner Compliance can also receive various types of strategic analysis about matters that could affect your suppliers and correspondingly you. Here's an analysis of the impact of Comcast acquiring Disney. You could also hire various types of specialized consultants. I know Brian Chapman personally and would recommend his services. Brian's firm specializes in helping organizations make a selection of a learning management system, LMS, or some selected other e-learning products and systems. He helps with analysis, writing RFPs, vendor demonstrations, vendor presentations, vendor negotiations, and can even help with system implementation. He's a small shop that is high touch, very high quality, and as such his bandwidth is limited, and you pay accordingly. It's difficult to probably engage Brian's services for much less than $10,000. The company that I had founded 8 years ago, Cox Learning Consultants, provides some similar services, but also some ones that are different from Brian's. Cox Learning Consultants can advise companies on vendor selections and can help with system implementation. Cox Learning Consultants also studies the industries and HR industries as a whole and publishes reports on the state of the industry and trends. What you see here displayed is that we put out an annual report on the status of the learning industry, and it's a worldwide survey with hundreds of participants, and it's a 40, 50, 60 page detailed report that comes out of that. Okay, let's do another poll here. Sylvia, if you could spin up the poll, and the key question is what resource or resources do you use most in making a vendor selection? I'd like GoToMeeting doesn't allow us to enable you to check all of these, so if you can only check one, so check the one that you presently use most. Be interested in kind of seeing what you're using there. And then Sylvia, you can just keep us posted on how it's coming along and what the results are.
Okay, people are voting, and it seems to be in many directions right now. So if everybody could get their votes in, that'd be great. We're at 60% of you have voted. So let's get that number up a little bit more so we can see where you're coming from.
And Sylvie, too, when we get the results of the poll, I'll pause here and see if people have any questions. And so you do, in the GoToMeeting control panel, have an area that you can post questions. We'll pause here, too, and field some questions that you may have on any of these items.
Okay, so I've posted the results now. We came in at 0 for financial reference firms, 17% complaint services, 8% analysts, 25% consultants, and 50% other.
I didn't construct that survey very well to have so many other there. In the GoToMeeting, again, there's in the questions and chat area. Type in there some of the other services or methods that you're using there. I'd be interested in seeing what some of the results are.
Just a reminder to the audience, there is a little orange button up at the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you click on that, you'll see that's where you can submit your answer to Dan's question.
All right, so Sylvie, do we have any questions at this point?
There are no questions at this point.
Okay. All right, we'll have some more Q&A at the end of this session. All right, so let me introduce you to something new, something which hopefully will revolutionize how you can find and select a new supplier. Collect My Thoughts is what's called a crowdsourced website and rating service. It's intended to provide you with the power to clearly articulate what you like and what you don't like about a given supplier. Our purpose is to provide a resource where the members of this community can provide ratings and feedback on various learning solutions, share the knowledge, and exchange information with others. It's initially focused on the learning and HR industries, as that is honestly the background of several of our staff, including me. But as quickly as possible, we want to expand to many industries. We want to be the one-stop place to go to when you want to read reviews about business suppliers and to gather other information and helps associated with a vendor selection. So it is a community for sharing, and it's in its rudimentary stage right now. We have many more things that we are looking to add or provide to this. As of the moment, we have about 1,700 suppliers listed. We've already received 500 reviews by users of products across 25 different product and solution categories. Let's do some examples. So you take WebEx. Above are examples of a high-level view of reviews, so you can take a look at a given vendor and very quickly get an overview on some overall scores, and you'll see when these are posted or things like that. And then you can click on each of these things and drill down. Let's do another example. Let's take Adobe Captivate, which many in the learning community use. You have a page that talks about the vendor, about the solutions. It shows the surveys, and if we were to click on one of those reviews down below, it would look like the following. You would see a rating across 4 different categories, and overall for the solution, ease of use, customer service. And out of that, we will weight those items and give an overall score. We'll also show you what is the period of time in using the product. So each person has to tell us, how long they've been using this product. Then at that point, we do require the people to provide some type of comments. And so we provide a big text field for general type of comments. And it's really important for us to have balanced information for our community. So we also have 2 additional fields to encourage somebody to make positive comments and to encourage somebody to make negative comments. So we have some real balance there. You notice that we do not reveal the full name of the reviewer. We do a good vetting process of who the reviewer is. So it's not a competitor. It's not an employee of the company. It's an actual user of the product. But we know that some people are in a position where they can't publicly say, who they are and what they're saying. So we allow people to have nicknames, and they can have like this, or they can make up whatever they want for a nickname. And so we protect the anonymity of the reviewer. Also, as a process just to ensure quality, we have the ability to flag whether somebody thinks a review is inappropriate for any reason. And we'll investigate that and then decide what to what to do with it. So, again, what is Collect My Thoughts? Well, the goal is to be really the gold standard for B2B, business to business, buyer information service. We are kind of like a Yelp and an Angie's List and a Consumer Reports all rolled into one. We're the good housekeeping seal of approval of suppliers in the business world. For the business buyer, we want to be a single resource. And we want vendors to be able to come here because business buyers, users, and anyone in business will be there. And vendors will help pay for the service in appropriate ways, but the system is designed to not be beholden to the vendors. We are servicing the buyers, the users, the people who need the service. But we have found that as we do a credible job in doing that, vendors will provide various types of financial support for that environment. Some of the things that are differentiators about this from some of the other things that you may have had some experience with, as we're driven to provide a high level of service in all of our service offerings in order to provide the business person with confidence and making much of the vital information and tools for a smart decision. So certainly we've got ratings reviews, and that's there presently with the system. We are soon to be implementing the ability to have some type of expert blogs. We will be establishing various types of knowledge bases. So you could do a search, I want this LMS with these type of features, and which LMSs meet that feature. So you'll see things like that. We'll have various reports from various organizations and experts to help you make some buying decisions. We'll also provide a forum or a mechanism to get competitive quotes that you could be able to get multiple vendors, giving you quotes to get the best price. And in general, there will be a community that will allow people to participate and be able to help each other in making, smart vendor decisions. So we're going to provide a variety of services and other benefits to attract business decision makers to regularly visit Collect My Thoughts website. And this includes all these evaluation selection tools. We might even arrange for discounts in certain products and other information that might help vendors to engage to make the users community more successful. So looking at a previous slide, when do buyers engage? We said that there's typically 3 stages, and stage 1, we said, takes up typically 57% of the decision-making process. And this can be frustrating. With the global economy we have, we know that there may be hundreds or even thousands of suppliers. So we have experience with a few, and salespeople are knocking on doors, give us a few more that we can learn about, and we may ask our friends for a few more. Yet bottom line, we realize that we know only a fraction of the total number of possible suppliers to consider. So Collect My Thoughts is providing a single reference for who are all the suppliers in that industry, and a quick way to be able to then filter those, and that starts to lead us to the next thing, is that at that point you can go into various types of filter mechanisms to be able to find the vendors that you most want to seriously consider. And then stage 3 is the purchase. We don't help too much in that area. We're more focused on stage 1 and 2. But one of our plans for the future is to provide a distribution service for RFIs and RFPs. So there may be certain areas of service that will be provided in that stage 3, that purchase selection as well. Raises the questions of how do we make a better quality decision, and how can we do it easier and faster? And Collect My Thoughts allows us to be able to get information faster. It's more complete because it's an aggregation of many people's opinions. It isn't just one person's opinion on something. So it's actually more trustworthy. So we have thus an authoritative source as a single resource to help you in making some of these decisions. Let you know a little bit about some of our master plan, because you may want to be engaged with us some way or another. 2014, our plan was to establish a beachhead in about 20 different software markets in HR and training, and we've actually already accomplished that. 2015, we want to be expanding to various other industries. We're starting to lay the groundwork right now for research and listing and evaluation in areas like CRMs, supply chain, project management, and that's just to name a few. And then ultimately our 5-year plan is to be a one-stop shop where people can go to be able to get evaluations on their suppliers and as many industries as we can expand into. You know, we want you to spend money wisely. Let's make good vendor selections. Let's help one another to accomplish this by participating in the Collect My Thoughts community. I truly believe that Collect My Thoughts could revolutionize how we conduct business. So let's review, a few things here about selecting the best supplier. So you have the traditional methods, reference checking, sales presentations, RFI, RFPs, to name a few. We have financial through analyst organizations like Moody's, databases like Dun & Bradstreet, the SEC filings that I showed you. You have complaint services like the Better Business Bureau, Complaints Board, and even various types of forums and blogs. You have analysts like Gartner and Brian Chapman's organization. And you have ratings and review community, which is Collect My Thoughts. So then the question is what can you do? So certainly you can join the Collect My Thoughts community. We'd love for you to participate in it in one way or another. You can contribute by posting some product reviews. That mechanism is there. We will be shortly looking for various types of articles or people who want to write blogs on vendors, vendor selections. That opportunity is there. And as this community, we're very open to your advice as to how we can serve the business decision maker better. And then the third thing, obviously, is just tell others about it. The more participants, the better for everyone. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions that people have. And just use the questions section in your GoToMeeting control panel and cite any questions. Sylvie, do we have anything there?
Okay, well there isn't a question right now, but there is an answer to your last question, and Barb indicated that she's using networking groups for their experiences to share thoughts.
Oh, networking groups, interesting. So own little mini communities in and of themselves, junior versions of Collect My Thoughts. Okay. Any other questions by anybody in the audience? No? Okay. So thank you for coming. We can help change the way business is conducted. We can now have a resource to make the very best vendor selections. No longer will decisions be made upon partial data, limited opinions, or information, from just biased sources. Collect My Thoughts will give us a strong community with the right answers and information to make an informed supplier decision. Thank you again for attending.